Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching GEEKCASTER, everything sci-fi, fantasy, and pop culture commentary. Yes, we've got Drew, we've got Corey, and I'm Seven, sometimes. And we're going to jump right in. We've got some really interesting things we're going to talk about today. How you guys doing?
Doing well, still in it.
I just want to know.
Not fighting a cold, but
okay,
that sucks. Vitamin C, brother. Vitamin C.
So
I think I'm alright. I think it might just be hoarse, but yeah, well, definitely vitamin C.
Yeah, definitely, and a lot of water. So we're gonna throw some news in there, talk about some stuff, some movies, questionable should we be watching or not watch. The whole thing is we try to give you guys a heads up. Should you waste your time or not? Or, hey, totally up to you. So one of the things that is a rumor, I don't know how true it is, but allegedly James Gunn confirmed he will be doing the new Wonder Woman film. Are we excited about this? Is this something... Is he going to do a different take? What do you guys think?
He's definitely going to do a different take because it's James Gunn. It's going to be his take.
Mm-hmm.
The announcement of a Wonder Woman movie, it's about that time. The casting, I think, was the biggest takeaway from it because it's a familiar face now in Hollywood, Ana de Armas. And I can see it. When it comes to the casting with her, I can see it.
Okay.
She's definitely got the physicality factor down because she was just in the ballerina, the John Wick thing.
Right.
So it kind of just goes in line with, okay, if she's got that particular look to be Wonder Woman, she can do action stuff. It only makes sense. So we'll see. And with James Gunn, it's going to be definitely like more of a comedic take, I think, which for Wonder Woman could be kind of to her benefit because she's usually like often written as like a stiff.
Right.
And it's all about trying to be a symbol for everybody as opposed to being a good character. So it could be cool.
What are you thinking, Corey?
Well, on a side note, I always want Rosario Dawson to play Wonder Woman. Like, if that ever happens, that's just my take. But with the James Gunn Wonder Woman, like Drew said, I think it is time. We had two decent films, but it always felt like something was lacking, like something wasn't quite there. And I think James Gunn can actually, make it a complete movie, fill in all those missing elements.
Right. No, I hear you.
When you say two decent movies, which Wonder Woman are you referring to? I know the first one was second one, no. But
so the premise was there, the execution wasn't. So that's why I said like we had two good ideas. Like I guess people were saying the first one was too dark. Was that the critique?
It was World War I, so people weren't going to be having dress montages and singing Supergirl, but it was good. It's the third act of the first. Real talk, it's like, what do you guys expect it to be? Just everyone having a princess outing shopping day and a Wonder Woman movie? It's like, it's World War I. She's a warrior. What's supposed to be in it? Second one even tried that, as how dumb as it was. And it was like, I call it a decent Twilight Zone episode with the villains thing and a very crappy attempt at a Wonder Woman movie. His parts as a villain kind of interesting because he's a guy making wishes and he sees the ripple effect and repercussions of those wishes in the world, right? And then Wonder Woman does a rom-com in a movie with her resurrected kind of sort of boyfriend that we're supposed to give a crap about, and then the rest of the movie happens.
Right.
But yeah, a different take on it. I think a fresh coat of paint would be good, considering that we got one decent one and one that was another crap sandwich.
I would like to piggyback on what Drew is saying in reference to the trying to, because Corey and people saying it was too dark, they really wanted to match everything up the league. You know what I mean? So they wanted to make sure, if you notice, all of those films, they tried to keep the same. The only one that kind of a little outside of that was Aquaman.
Shazam.
Well, Shazam was a totally different. That
was a kid's movie.
That was a kid's movie.
That was like big with superpowers.
So, yeah. Now I didn't think about that, but yeah, when they did the second one, I guess they were trying to move the needle, but They shouldn't. They shouldn't
So
have done that.
I meant dark as in picture quality, not dark as in tone of the movie.
Oh.
It's called brightness. Up the brightness on your TV. It's a very simple fix. Stop whining.
Got him.
I'm reaching for whatever I can complain about the movie. And I didn't even think the first Wonder Woman was like amazing, but it does have some cool sequences.
Right.
For what Snyder's version of the DC universe was supposed to be, she fit in.
Yeah,
She fit in. Gal Gadot, not the greatest actor of all time, but she definitely had like the look and the gravitas of Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
So get someone who Anna de Armas, she can pull it off. A pluckier, kind of funnier take on it. They can throw some quips, some Greek isms in it.
Mm-hmm.
It could work.
Yeah. And also, we still have to see Superman. We still have to see what's going on there to really.
July 11th.
Yeah.
July
So
11th.
okay, while we're on the topic of the new Superman joint coming out, as someone who is notoriously not the biggest Superman fan, I don't hate him. I just never found him particularly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I always find the debates between Superman heads, how he's portrayed, to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He either has to be the super stoic OP god who never really even emotes. He's just a god and something for us to all follow.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like he's not human. And then the other take where if he shows too much humanity, we're calling him a wimp. We're calling him a wuss.
Mm-hmm.
Ew, he looks in the new one, the trailer, I guess, Crypto, he's damaged, he's hurt, he's bleeding. Surprise, Superman bleeds. Crypto comes, lands on him, and he's like, dude, come on, quit, I'm hurt, my ribs are hurt. I like moments like that. But then you look and you see the diehard Superman fans are like, he should never. Why are they portraying him to be so weak? I'm like, dude, you don't know what just happened for this scene to be in the movie. That could be the inciting incident. We don't know. How did Superman get jacked up like that?
Right.
So it's always an interesting like back and forth to where you have he should be a stoic immortal god, or he should show that humanity and like kind of lure in your audience. I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see what James Gunn does because he has a good habit of showing cool stuff, right, with the DC characters or like whatever IP that he's working with, but also kind of showing that what's also wrong with them, their vulnerabilities. Peacemaker is a great example of that, I think, as a show, right, where you can show what's good about them, but also factor in their flaws and what makes them kind of like function as a hero or villain. So if we can get that in a Superman movie, flaws included, because I'm of the school of thought of no, have him bleed, have him emote,
The Boy
have
Scout.
him be a human. Have him, the God Boy Scout thing. I get bored of sitting him just posture and look at everybody as something to be worshipped. I'm just like, dude, have a personality. Have things that you like and things that are often interpersonally wrong with you. Do it.
So, the one thing I completely agree with Drew with, and I think that I've always wanted to see executed, but it's never really reached that pinnacle, is like we know he's not one of this planet. So when he came here, his parents did raise him in a way to blend in with society. So with this new trailer, let's just say he's feigning injury like a normal human, but he doesn't really like succumb to like the pressures of humanity. So maybe that duality we'll see in this movie. Hopefully it's done right and correctly, like you're saying.
Yeah, I've avoided most of the trailers. I've seen one. And when they do have the Clark Kent, it's always the game with his character is when he's Clark Kent, he's putting on kind of like a jokey, what would you call it? Almost like a Charlie Chaplin type of thing. He's walking around bumping into stuff. None of it's affecting him. Like Corey just said, he's kind of like existing outside of the world, but he's just interacting with it and pretending. If they can do that, if the actor that they got him to play Clark Kent can do those kind of goofy dualisms, that could be cool.
That'd be cool. Because no one's done that right so far.
The one thing...
No, Christopher Reeve did it.
Christopher Reeve, about to say, of the recent movies, Christopher Reeve is the only one where you really felt he really played it up.
He kind of set he set the framework for that. I think a lot of actors and how he's portrayed in the comics too, they took cues from that Christopher Reeve's goofy, toofy slapstick where he's bumping and knocking over. What was it? All kinds of stuff in the that whole thing. It was Christopher Reeves.
It wasn't really slapstick. It was do the most at being noticed less. If that makes perfect sense.
By bumping into stuff, knocking over papers, showing himself to be like physically inept and like ditzy,
and socially
that's the
inept.
slapstick.
Right. That's it. Right.
Not even necessarily socially inept. He's actually very well. Clark Kent is a very well socially structured guy. He can talk to pretty much anyone. That's what makes him so good at what he does. he puts on this show to appear like physically he couldn't possibly be Superman.
Mhm.
They look exactly alike. It's literally just Clark Kent
And
with
according to those
with
time,
glasses
if you
on.
look at the time that movie came out, if I'm able to use the phrase or not, but he was kind of like a nerd. He was
He's a
Yeah, and
dweeb.
that's
Yeah,
the whole
Clark Kent's a
point.
dweeb.
he was a
That's the
dweeb,
point. Yeah,
right?
he's a
That's the
dweeb.
whole point
Yeah,
of
Yeah.
being unnoticed.
Yeah, he's supposed to like blend in by being kind of a goofball and uncoordinated. Superman wouldn't be bumping into tables and chairs and knocking over
Right.
water coolers and
Right.
oh, excuse me.
Right.
He did nah. That's the cover. So if he can pull that off, it could be a neat little
Hey,
takeover.
you think it's going to be more than just him wearing glasses?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I think it's all right because I know that the Clark Kent thing. I was just harping on it.
Right.
Making the actor / character like look like two different guys, even though they're really not.
Right.
It can be tricky. The comics has some very cool ways of how they've explained away that.
Mhm.
How everyone in Metropolis is just that dumb and can't identify Superman with glasses on. Like, he'll slouch, he'll hunch, right? He'll mess up his hair. The New 52 I love because he was like, Superman's yoked. He's a big dude, not too bulky, but he definitely is like fit. In the New 52 run of Superman, he wore excessively baggy clothing. On top of his already kind of like yoke build, he would do that and then hunch and mess up his hair. So he would just kind of look like just like a basement dweller almost, like kind of like a cave nerd. He just kind of looked like just some dude that was in his grandma's basement and had his glasses on. He had like this kind of like gamer hair. I'm like, okay, that actually works.
That
And
works.
he's a husky. He looks like more husky than buff, so it totally works out.
That makes sense.
As a person who wears glasses 24/7, the amount of you look completely different with your glasses off, even if I'm wearing the same exact clothing, I have the same exact build. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have hair, so I have less features. But the moment I take my glasses off and I look completely different, I think that adds more realism to
Well, let's see.
Superman. And I
Let's
think
put
that's
it to
why.
the test. Take
So-
your
Yeah, go
glasses
ahead,
off.
go.
Hopefully.
Take your glasses off.
Go for it. Do it.
Oh my gosh! All right, all right. I'm doing this for you. All right, ready?
Oh wow, he is totally different.
Who are you? No. Oh, there you go. I think, yeah, you can get away with that if it's people that you don't know who you're next to never around. If it's people that you work with and see every day, there's no way in hell you're going to have him believe that. Where does Clark Kent go whenever Superman's around? I don't know. Like, there's no way. I'm like, yo.
The funny
you're-
thing
you're
is,
Superman.
coworkers, my bosses, people who I work with, they're like, "Why don't you wear your glasses less or just get contacts? Because you look completely different."
That's kind of sounds like a low-key dig, but all right. What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
I
Either
thought
that or
as
someone's
well.
coming on to
I
you.
thought that as well.
Maybe, yeah. It could be that. Could be shooting a shot.
But
But
you know
again,
what?
there's little explain away ways where they've gone about explaining the Superman problem, making it look like Clark Kent and Superman.
Well, you know, your critique on that is why Invincible works so well. Because the whole show is really not about the superpowers. It's really about how they balance normal life with being a superhero, which many people have explored before, but have not had a successful run. I think, you know, this time when Invincible came out was a perfect time because we're so hit with these superhero TV shows and movies that it is getting old real quick. So what are you going to do new? Or what are you going to do to really give props to the original works, like the comic books? Because I think at this point, that's what's really going to win. Either a fresh look at something we already know or really embracing the comics.
Yeah,
I
Sorry,
thought
go ahead, Corey.
I thought the thing about Invincible is kind of like The Boys, adding the realism because we never really talk about the people who actually die, and you have this young superhero who's trying to save everyone but still is messing up at the same time. So you got learning how to save people while killing people, learning how to live your life while still maintaining your duality of being a hero and being a normal college student. I think there were so many levels to Invincible that kind of mirrored The Boys in a way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like you said, it's a perfect time for us. But with Superman, now that we already have that, what is the extra element that you can probably add into that we haven't seen yet?
I agree. With to add a little fuel to that with the Invincible thing, Corey. The little analogy that I think they showed us way early on in the series. It was like as early as episode 1, When Mark discovers his powers, he's working at the burger joint.
Mm-hmm.
He's taking out the trash.
Mm-hmm.
He throws the trash, and the trash, you see the trash bag just go off into space. It's just gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you notice earlier, or later, it's like later, the boy that he'd saved and his dad, who was a security guard, that first episode, right? They're at, I want to say, like one of the national monuments in Washington.
Yeah.
And something falls from the sky as they're visiting it. They jump out the way, barely miss it, and it's a garbage bag.
I gotta go back and watch that.
Go back and watch it. Yeah. It was Mark's garbage bag. And that was like the show telling us that the pattern of the show, remember how I'm always saying, like, one thing will set up another.
Right.
One event frames the next crisis, right? One act, cause and effect, will frame the next event, right? That was kind of the show's early, like, symbol for that. Mark does something. He discovers his powers, throws the trash bag, and it ends up going all the way across the country and almost killing 2 other people, but oddly brings them together at the end of the day in that crisis. That's kind of what the show is.
Was that in time? Was that in the timeline, like him throwing the bag, and then after we see that, or did that happen before?
I want to say Mark throws it, and then it goes to, like, it's either the next episode or later in that same episode. Okay. The dad and the son are standing there, and then the trash bag hits the ground, and they're looking at it, and it's like, what the hell just happened? And then you realize that's the same bag that Mark threw earlier.
I'm watching this tonight.
Check it out. I'm pretty sure. I'll go back and look at it myself just to confirm, but that's kind of like what the metaphorically what the show was going to be. The Viltrumites' cause and effect on Earth and how that affects the people around them. Right. So they can put a little bit of that into Superman, not necessarily the crisis element, but that could be dope.
That would.
I mean, that kind of works with almost all the superhero movies. Just because
it
also
works with all of them.
You know, and I think the success of Marvel, and Marvel tends to be more, you know, this one's in Queens, this one's in Brooklyn, this was in Manhattan. So they have that realism grit, while a lot of the most successful DC characters are fantasy. Here's a man that can fly. Here's, you know, someone that breathes and lives in the water. So it's
well, Marvel has that stuff too, but it's how they portray it. It's
how they
more
portray
the setting. Yeah, it's more in the setting. Like DC, they're all comparisons of real American or like places on Earth. It's not New York or Chicago. It's Metropolis and Gotham. You know, they're a step removed. I kind of prefer that, actually. I like that. But it's like you have that. They're an analog of real places and events and peoples, but not quite. So you can take whatever liberties that you want.
Because they all have characters in everything. I mean, they all have. It's kind of like one creates a witch, this one created a warlock. That's kind of how they got down for a long time. But the most successful ones tend to be more gritty or more quote unquote real or possible over here, and it seems to be, besides Batman, the more fantasy ones tend to be more successful in DC. I don't know why that is.
It depends. There's some. The reason why it's like a fun universe between DC and Marvel, respectively, is that they have pulp heroes. They have your outright tights wearing, cloak and cape wearing heroes. You got your gritty, working within the fringes and sometimes beyond them. In the Punisher's case, it's like a mixed bag. And then that's before you even get to like the mutants, like the X-Men, before you get into magic characters, before you get into like the JLA, Justice League stuff. You had all this other groundwork that you could cover in your pocket, your neighborhood of that universe. So it's lots of room. You can make a lot of good stuff, but you can also make a lot of, I think what the issue is now is like formulaic stuff. We know the formula now for the superhero, for the genre now, because it's a whole genre. For like the superhero genre of film and television, we know it now. So shows like Invincible, shows like The Boys, they switch up the style of it, kind of give you a different recipe for the formula.
Now, that now has become its own formula. So do you think there's more room for a third formula? Or that's it, and we're going to get burnt out from all these superhero films? And
we're going to get burnt out on everything, but when we do, it'll die down. Here's how it goes. It's where they always say what's old becomes new again. When something falls out of favor, it's lessons, may die. I mean, when you say die, there's always going to be like a few fans left and people that remember it. But it basically goes into a state of dormancy, right? In pop culture, things go into dormancy when they're no longer in favor, and then they get rebooted in a lot of cases, or brought back a decade or 2 or 3 or however many years later.
Right.
So even if it does, it'll be back. There's still a fan base for it. People still read comics.
Right.
People are still discovering comics,
Right.
and they're still making movies and shows on it. So
Yeah, and by the time I guess the kids are 5 and 10, maybe when they're in their mid whatever, they'll be like, "Hey, remember superheroes?"
whatever. Yeah, then it'll fall into the realm of nostalgia. At some point, here's the kind of scary thing. There are kids that are born now that are watching like the Marvel movies for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
To them, this is like what to us Star Wars or like hey, the prequels are the older ones, like as those old relics that were really good back in our day.
Right.
That's going to be that to them in like 10, 20 years time. We're already the old kids.
That's crazy.
We're already the old Eldons in the room.
Wow.
So
Wow.
pretty wild.
All right, so oldie but goodie, and I know this has been out for a while, but I finally checked it out. Red Sun.
Oh wow.
Oh, the animated one?
Yeah, I finally took forever, but I finally checked that out. I like it.
Yeah, of course you like it.
I like it overall.
Great.
Well, just a different thing with Superman. It was refreshing.
I feel like
Mhm.
what Marvel movies are, DC animation is, if that makes sense. Like we say Marvel movies are so great, DC animation is near perfect.
Right.
There's like one or two, but for the most part, they're usually pretty solid. And I remember Red Sun when it came out, but I can't tell you the last time I saw it. It's been years.
Right.
Yeah, we
I
were
just
saying for
remember
years that there was a mad disconnect between the animation department and the live action film department over at Warner Brothers because more often than not, they don't always get it.
Okay.
But more often than not, the DC animated movies they would make fire. Flashpoint Paradox is still top 10 all time, one of the all time greatest animated anythings I've ever watched. Dark Knight Returns, definitely. Old Man Batman, that was heavy hitter.
The Killing Joke.
Yeah, the Killing Joke was a good one. I would say like even earlier than that with Mask of the Phantasm. Y'all remember that one?
Yeah,
that was so good they put that in theaters twice, I think.
So I would put Mask of the Phantasm at number 5 and Red Sun at number 3, going according to your list.
Oh wow.
Killing Joke definitely top 10, maybe number 4, maybe number 6.
Okay. And there's others in there that I'm just not.
Which is the one where
Yeah.
Batman had everybody's weakness?
That was called, the animated film was called War. The comic run that they borrowed that from was called The Tower of Babel.
Okay.
I was pretty sure that was a Justice League joint. It was either Batman or Justice League. But yeah, that's the one where they find that Batman had a list of how to take out every one of the Justice League members if he had to.
Right.
And being the G that he is, after they found this out, at the end of all things, they're like, bro, you had a list on how to take us out? And he's like, yeah, that's messed up. You don't feel bad? Batman, no. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change a damn thing. By the way, I quit. And then he leaves the Justice League. And Superman and them are just kind of like, okay. Well, if you didn't have... Oh, yeah, Superman actually does kind of... They round it off well. He's like... So you were so you had a list on all of us, but you were so arrogant of yourself as you didn't have like a contingency for yourself. And Batman, because again, he's always winning. He's like, yes, I do. It's the Justice League. It's y'all. If I ever went rogue, y'all...
Yeah.
You
I
take
expect you
care of
guys
me,
to take
right?
me out. Yeah.
And Clark is like, damn, yeah, you're right. You got it. Okay. So again, my guy wins. Batman wins again.
Batman wins again.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That should be a live action film. That would be interesting. If they ever do,
you need to establish them first. You can't just jump into that.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to know the characters. You have to have them work up to be a team, and then Batman, in doing that, kind of betrays the team's trust because that's what that was.
So you think it'll be a better
Bro,
series? Than
a series could work, but if we already know the ending, we already know all the parts. Is it really? Do you have to do that then? If that's the
true.
case, when you know the ending.
Just a really good movie. Yeah, you're right. There's no reason.
I would go.
But although a live action version, I will say, if whoever they cast as Batman and Cyborg, I need to have that moment where Batman confesses, I put like a scan and a virus on you the day I met you, right? And Cyborg is just like, bro, what? I was scanning you the first day we met, because he did.
I would like to see that as like 2 or 3 movies, not a series. We have way too many series, so I think like
there's a lot of series right now.
Well,
like 1 or 2 movies, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, to Drew's point, just build up to it, but then don't stretch it out too long.
Right.
And maybe don't even call the whole thing like War or Tower of Babel. It's something that would happen within a trilogy, right? It's big bad trilogy. Whoever you go with, I'd say be easy. Go Darkseid, for example, right?
Gotcha.
If Darkseid were the main villain, he pops up by the end of 2. The Tower of Babel thing happens in part 2. Batman looks like a heel. Part 3 happens, and then they fix the problem, and then they end off that Tower of Babel arc by the third. That's structurally how I break that up into a trilogy.
All right, before we get out of here, your number 1 DC and or Marvel villain.
That's tough, man. Corey, you go first.
Man, that's hard. Villain?
Villain exclusively?
Yeah.
You can only pick one.
That's the hard part.
Oh, pick one Marvel, one DC, if that makes it easier.
One Marvel, one that it doesn't, but I'll do it. Okay, for
Marvel, it's got to be Thanos.
Okay, you're going with Thanos. I was between. He was considered. If that's the case, if Corey's is Thanos, I'm gonna go with Doctor Doom. I'm gonna go with Doctor Doom on that one for Marvel, and for DC, I'm gonna go with. Man, once upon a time, I would have said Lex Luthor. But these days, I'm more of the Ra's al Ghul school of thought.
Yeah.
I think people just... Sometimes you gotta just, humanity, y'all hit this reset button. Get out of here. Hit the reset button. Y'all suck.
So he's a
Ra's al Ghul.
He's a martial arts genius side equal thing of Thanos. Same kind of vibe.
Ra's al Ghul, micro. He thinks more planetary.
Right.
Thanos is like, half the universe must go. Half all life on in the universe can be gone. Bye. Finito in the sun. But
I thought Darkseid was like Thanos' equivalent.
Oh,
in a way.
No, Darkseid's kind of scarier than Thanos.
Yeah, he just wants to see everything burn. He's like a Joker on like.
He wants everything united in like this weird, stringent, coarse, like existential order. It's like a step above tyranny. I'll look up more of the details and articulate it better next time. But Darkseid is more on like an existential level about messing people up. Thanos will just kill you. Thanos just ends you and then leaves you to the ether. Like Darkseid wants your entire existence to suffer and come to heal.
Yeah, but Darkseid also like killed you on the spot as well. If he was like tired of you,
if he felt like he was being nice, he would just kill you.
But he was smarter about it. He used your death as an example to put everyone else in line. That's what.
He does that too. But like the worst part is, it's like not the fact that he just kills you. The ones that are alive, that are left alive with Darkseid, they get it worse. Thanos just kills you. Yeah, that's kind of where my difference is for them.
That's why I'm like, is there anyone worse than Darkseid in DC?
Mizzlepick? No.
Oh wow.
But he's OP. Everyone says, "Oh, Superman's so OP." I'm like, dude, doesn't Mizzlepick come through and like troll Superman consistently because he's from a higher dimension or some crap? But
all right, I'll have to quickly say I used to be a huge fan of the Green Goblin, but I would have to say Doctor Doom on one side, and then I would have to say the Joker on the other side.
Okay, I can see it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Doctor Doom's always been a weak character to me, but all right.
Well,
okay, we'll go to that.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that one.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right, so let's do superheroes part 1, part 2. All right, you're watching GEEKCASTER. Go to GEEKCASTER.com. If you watch us on cable, thank you. And you could always go to GEEKCASTER on social media, on IG. Thank you very much. And those that are watching us live on stream, continue. And everyone else, we'll see you next week.